Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Stranda. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate. You guys are the real MVP. Guys, I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok, and I thought to show you guys where this pan-colored woman is all out to ask this question. Like, she was actually channeling to all of the Democrats, and she was like, so lovely. So I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok, and I thought to share with you guys where biracial, people are just out to reveal so many things about their pan-colored moms. I was just able to put up some stitches because a lot of them were actually out to reveal this. I'm just going to roll it. Please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video, and please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. Alright, lovelies, let's dive into it.
My mom was a racist white woman, and she hated black people, which is crazy because look at me, guys. I'm black. I'm black. And when I tell you, she used to ask me all the time why I didn't have blonde hair, blue eyes, and light skin. I'm like, Mom, you're the one who ended up with the black man. Why are you asking me why I'm not light-skinned? Like, you should be asking yourself why I'm not light-skinned, okay? And throughout most embarrassing thing, throughout elementary school, through almost like beginning of high school, I would tell people I wasn't black because my mom was like determined and brainwashed me to believe that I wasn't black. So embarrassing. Why did people even talk to me? Like, I was adamant I was not black, and when they would ask me, I'd be like, well, I'm not black, I don't know what you mean. And they were like, what the fuck do you think I mean? So embarrassing.
So someone tagged me in this and said that this whole channel focuses on fetishizing her mixed kids. So let's check it out. Oh wait, I don't even have to go look at the other videos because she exposed herself in the comment section, like immediately. This person said, you're ignorant and you're treating your kids like they're some fancy dog breed. And the mom responded saying, the fanciest of dog breeds to be exact, smirky face. Oh wait, of course there's more. First of all, look at these children's faces. Do they look like they want to be there? No. Let's take a look at the caption. It says pretty babies with pretty brow. Hashtag biracial, hashtag mixed kids, hashtag so pretty. Very telling. I've said this once and I'll say it again. White women need to stop having black children just for funsies before doing the intensive anti-racist work. Raise your hand in the comments if you've ever heard a white girl say, I want to marry a black guy so we can have mixed babies. Also, when the mother is black and the father is white, we don't typically see this stuff. I wonder why. Okay, let's talk about it. Mixed kids who were raised by white mothers versus black mothers. Already I'm seeing comments saying that there is no difference and there's bad on both sides, which is true. There is bad on both sides. Colorism runs rampant within our community. We know that. So we know that there are tons of black women who want mixed children because they want them to be lighter because colorism is eating them alive. But let us not pretend that there isn't a significant difference, generally speaking, between those who are raised by white mothers versus black mothers. There was a mixed creator who made a video specifically on this. I wish I knew who it was, so if you know who I'm talking about, tag them below, but they shared their experience being raised by a white mother, etc., etc. But the reason I made that comment isn't to talk about the white women, because like that's expected. It's to address the black men. We all know that even statistically speaking, it's way more likely for black men to date outside of their race versus black women. It's way more likely for black men to date white women, which means it's way more likely for black men to date white women, have children with white women, and allow their white wives to fetishize their children. That was the point I was making. That's a problem. That's a problem. Nobody is saying that black women don't do the same thing. We all know that that's true. Black women do the same thing. Again, colorism eats us all alive. But you can even notice it on this app. The white women who act a fool. The white women with the fake ass black sense and the caricatures of black women that they try to do. The vast majority of their time, what do their boyfriends look like? They're black men. Like, I'm never surprised when I see a racist ass little white girl and then she pans the camera over to her black boyfriend and I'm like, that's why she thinks it's okay for her to do these things, because she's being validated by this man who's telling her that it's okay. So, in conclusion, let us not pretend that this is not a common theme. Okay? Okay.
Mixed people are crazy because they'll be like, I've never felt accepted by the black community. Well, you calling it the black community, so you already have distanced yourself from it. You don't feel like you're a part of it, nor do you probably want to be a part of it unless it's convenient for you. I'm gonna tell y'all something y'all don't know about me. When I was 2 days old, I was adopted. My mother and my father are black. The neighborhood I grew up in was predominantly black. My biological father is black. My biological mother is white. She gave me up, and I get on my knees and I thank God every day that I was not raised by her, because I know for a fact that my biological grandmother is a racist. I can't imagine what my biological siblings are going through, but I see it manifest all the time with y'all. And when I say we know what type of mama you got, I know what I'm talking about. Because I grew up with the same questions. I grew up getting roasted. Did I cry? Oh, what was me? No, I learned how to roast and I learned how to fight.
Okay guys, this is my response video to the one I posted yesterday about the voiceover asking if you can guess whether I was mixed with a white mom and a black dad, or if I was mixed with a black mom and a white dad. I hope I said that right. Okay, so this is my answer. This is my biological mom over here. She actually gave me up for adoption when I was 3 years old. And so I was raised by my mama over here. And this is who I know as my mom, you know, this is to this day, like, this is my mom, you know. And so she is who raised me. So yes, I do have a white mom and a black dad biologically, but as far as who raised me, I was raised by two black parents, a black mom and a black dad. And there will be like a series to this because I ended up meeting her on well, I found her on Facebook, and I ended up meeting her in person as an adult. And there's just so much to my story, and we'll get to that at a later date. But yeah, I did want to answer y'all's question. I do have a white mom and a black dad, but I was raised by two black parents. So yeah.
So my mom was raised in the suburbs, you know, back then in an all-white area. And my grandpa was racist. I'm sure most people in that area at that time were like racist. And if not blatantly racist, then, you know, within the walls of their home or amongst their close friends, which where I live now is the case a lot of the time. So looking back, I think about the things right now in my current life where I see people do that are racist, but they don't realize they're being racist. And I had never really considered my mom to be like those people, but when you're not around black people, period, like you don't fucking get it. So the thing about my mom is she always, and she would say that I like to buck the system. Like she never wants to go like with the grain. It's always against. So when she walked in and she saw my dad and he gave her attention or whatever the fuck it was, she just ran with it. Like she knew it would irritate my grandpa. And my dad was very attractive, like suave fucking dude. Okay. So she of course was like, hi, oh my God. Like just, it was a perfect storm. But as time goes on, like I said, my sister, who he never talked to, nothing, was not in the picture. But my brother was only a couple years older than me. So my mom got pregnant with me. And then my mom was having to deal with my dad's old baby mama and like paying child support and like all this shit. So my mom was like pissed off that like any of the money that he was getting was going to his other kid to pay child support. Because at this point, my mom is like 19 and just like a fucking dumbass and doesn't understand anything about shit when it comes to that. And my brother's mom is black. So in having to deal with my brother's mom, I feel like that always just kind of like set her off. I feel like she was always just jealous of the fact that this other baby existed, that this other woman existed. I think those are common feelings amongst insecure women, like period. But the fact that she was black and my mom like never had to navigate around black people at all. It just like grew this yuckiness inside of her, especially because like I said, my grandpa was racist. So it just was like everything she was taught that was ingrained in her. And now she's like dealing with this, like, ugh. My mom would also tell me stories about how, like my dad, when he was a cop, he would be like on patrol or whatever, and she couldn't like track him down. But then he'd come home late at night and have like these rug burns on his knees, which she was always like, yeah, you're like fucking somebody else, like laid up on their floor or something. And it was just always black women. So I think my dad helped make her disdain grow by his shitty behaviors in general, was just like not helping the situation. The only other thing that she's told me was that when she was a little girl, and I've told this before, I've said this story before on my TikTok. When she was a little girl, she went roller skating and she rolled up to the payphone to call my grandpa or something to come get her. And this black girl, she like described her as being like huge, because she was like, my mom was like young, like 7 years old or something. And this girl was probably like 14, 15. So obviously like in size, they're way different. She said she had these big ass like pom-pom, like Afro pom-poms on her head. And she had a knife and she was like, give me your money, and this like little change. So she's like this teeny tiny little white girl, and this just big black girl is like, give me your shit. So that was, I think, it, you know, growing up in a racist house, having that one experience, which I would say is pretty traumatic for anybody. I don't give a fuck what color you are. That's traumatic. And then meeting my dad and having all these experiences. Like, I get it, but at what point do you realize you have a child and she looks like all the women that you're talking about? I could really go on and on with stories and whatever, but that's kind of the root of how I think that the hate started. And I went on in my life to become insanely whitewashed, to not understand pieces of myself. And I don't feel like my dad was ever helpful in that. It wasn't until a few years ago now, in this space that I'm living in, where my whole world fell apart and I realized that I'm surrounded by white people and they actually don't accept me for who I am, then that's when I got woke real fucking quick and in a hurry. And honestly, that's how I became infamous Mama Henry. It's because of the place that I live in and really like the canon events that I had to go through to get me to where I am now. But that's a whole nother thing.
If you're mixed and you got a white mom, stitch this.
I've been summoned. I understand where the original poster is coming from, because I too have a white mom who really has always tried her hardest to like affirm us in our black identity. But if I'm gonna keep it real, I feel like unless the black parent or the black father makes a concerted effort to bring their child up in blackness, we will be raised as white children. My father was a black man. I think he saw us as extensions of himself, so basically black children, and thought my work here is done, when in actuality, we grew up in a very white area, so we only really knew whiteness and what it meant to be a white kid, but very much feeling like an other. I have a lot of like longer thoughts about parents in interracial relationships seeing their children as extensions of themselves, and I'd happy to elaborate on it if anybody wants to, but in the meantime, sorry babe, I don't think this is the hill to die on.
I'm gonna need y'all white parents of biracial kids to listen in real quick. I'm gonna give you fair warning, this might be an uncomfortable conversation, but it's necessary. A lot of y'all's kids have complexes and identity issues, and it's not because they have a white parent. It's because a lot of y'all chose to have biracial kids before you unpacked your internalized racism and anti-blackness. It's because a lot of y'all have biracial children without learning enough about the black experience to guide your child through a black experience. To guide them through a world that is inherently anti-black. Cutting off your racist family members is not all it takes to raise a biracial kid. In fact, that doesn't even come close to the bare minimum. You can have the best intentions for your children while still causing them collective harm. And you know, I first noticed this when my daughter was an infant and I started joining Facebook groups for parents of biracial kids. These white moms would have the best intentions, yet end up on Facebook crying about how their child was saying they didn't want to be black and they hated being black. And because these parents did not take the time to educate themselves whatsoever on systemic racism and anti-blackness on a level that they would be able to appropriately raise a biracial child, they were on the internet crying for help instead of helping their kid. You cannot shield your child from experiencing anti-blackness in the world, but you can equip them to deal with it. I get told pretty frequently that my daughter will be mistaken for a black mom biracial. Now I'm going to explain to you why. First and foremost, she is not raised in an anti-black environment. A lot of black men, white women relationships are inherently anti-black due to the fact that the relationship is based on fetishization and the hatred of black women instead of mutual love. The way that I look at it, the world is constantly going to be hurling anti-blackness at my child. And instead of acting like it does not exist, I have been equipping my child since birth to be able to handle said anti-blackness through radical self-love and positive identity. My child has at a young age told me that she wanted to be white to match her family. Right then and there, we had a very long conversation about anti-blackness and racism at 4 years old, and how her blackness was the most beautiful part of her. She made a comment one time about her baby doll, her black baby with coily hair, being ugly. Again, we had a long discussion about colorism, texturism, and racism. After that day, that baby did not leave her hip. You cannot just be not teaching your kid to be anti-black. You have to be preparing them for an anti-black world. You have to ensure that you are not feeding your child a complex towards other black people, that you're showing them how to cherish and uplift their community. See, biracial kids with white parents can be raised to be pro-black, but many aren't. And that is because their environment and their role models are not pro-black. If you don't want your child to have identity issues, it starts with you. It is wholeheartedly possible for you to educate yourself. A lot of y'all simply choose not to. Do better.
Fuck that sucks. And also just on the topic of mixed people with white moms. So as one of those mixed people with white moms, and I'm a black woman, very obviously, that's how everyone sees me, that's how I see myself. But us biracial kids with the white moms are the most problematic people on this app, just like within the black community specifically. If a white person comes into my comments and starts saying some shit. Anyways, so I just want to speak on my experience as a black woman with a white mother. I feel like I was raised with a certain level of entitlement that I understood from my white mother that I should have, that I should just kind of behave with. And I feel like that's the simple reason why we are so justifiably hated on this app and by our black community. And it's sad, but like if you're a light-skinned black person or a mixed black person, and like just fucking stand up and speak on your privilege.
Like, seriously, love this. It has actually been like this as a biracial person. Like, they actually have these problems of identity. They have these identity problems. A lot of biracial people have actually took to the social platforms to explain their predicament being a biracial, especially if you are one raised by a pan-colored woman. I think they have, different, like they have some kind of difference if you're a biracial person that is being raised by a pan-colored person compared to if you're a biracial that is being raised by a black woman. I posted a video here 2 days ago about some pan-colored people, using the beauty standard of a biracial to actually imply it to us. Okay, this is how a black woman needs to look like. A lot of you guys actually left a commentary telling me that it is actually they are actually biracials. Like, I think there are 3 girls, and a lot of you people like they are actually biracials and they're not white. I purposely, wrote white because those girls are actually giving white. Like, they are giving white based on their commentaries. And if you, watch closely or try to understand them closely, I think they are being raised by a pan-colored woman because they actually went ahead to compare themselves with that of a black woman and trying to tell a black woman to stop with all of the fixing of hair, lashes, and nails. That does not really, describe you as a black, as a black woman. Like, it's not giving the natural look that them have not ever in their whole life, had a fake lash or fake nails or hair, that they actually have the standard of a black woman. And this got a lot of people reacting to the fact that you people have really allowed all of the colonization to colonize you guys, making you look like, biracial is the way at which black women are supposed to look. Then she went ahead to talk about the black girl magic. The black girl magic is supposed to be looking the way at which biracials are looking, and that was just giving the vibe of someone that was brought up by a pan-colored woman. That was why in the title of the video, I was like white people, because it was not giving a black woman. The thing is that you as a biracial person, no matter how white you are, you have a half side which is a black person, the other half belongs to the other race. But because of the way at which they've been raised by maybe a pan-colored woman, this the orientation and the way at which the reason is that off. But with that being said, that does not really mean that they are also having a very, very hard time in their family or their mom or whichever relation that they have. In this video, I came across that particular first video that I staged where she was like, okay, my white mom is always, why is it that you didn't come out with blonde hair, mixed eyes, blue eyes, and all of that? That is to tell you that it's not as if that these pan-colored women who admire to get married or have a partner who happens to be black, that they are actually doing because of the love. Maybe they fell in love with the man or whatsoever. They are doing it to actually see something that they can fetishize. Like, there is this particular story that I stitch here, the lady that talked about how her mom was raised, or her mom was actually Ray and cis, her mom's father was actually Ray and cis and all of that. And because she wants to prove her parents, she went ahead to have a baby with a black dude. But deep inside of her, she knew vividly well that she does not really, tally with black people, but she actually did that to spite on her parents. She did that to spite on her parents. And after she must have had the relationship with this young black dude, meanwhile, this young black dude maybe had other relationship with a black woman. And because of that, the mom to this biracial lady, giving her story or sharing her story, I've already had this thing for a black people or black women. And because of that they are trying to transfer the aggression or whatsoever they feel about black people or black women to their children without even knowing. A lot of some pan-colored women are actually racist towards them. They give birth to biracials, and because of what they feel for these people, they don't even know when they start, becoming racist towards their own. Just imagine that you have a black child and you are all out telling your black child, oh, why is it that your hair is not blonde? Why is it that you don't have a blue eyes? Black, like, I don't get it. My own mother. If you want all of the blue eyes, blah, 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 why not maybe, meet with your own race? And because of this, the biracial itself will feel unacceptable, especially if you have a pan-colored mom, because God forbid your mom's side is so rare and cis, like, how are you going to be accepted? And the way these people keep on giving away their kids, like, it's just something not to write home about. You knew that you have some kind of rare and cis inside of you, so why do you want to have a relationship with a black dude that actually leads to having a baby, and after that you want to give out the baby? Like, I don't get it. And now these people are all left feeling so miserable. Some of them sometimes have this in them because of what have been transferred from their own mother, and they don't even want to mingle with most of them have privilege, but they now see black people as, oh, okay, but meanwhile you are also black. Like, seriously.
The thing is that if you are a pan-colored woman and you know that you are we have been brought up by racist people, or maybe because of the society you are now being very different from your family in terms of races, you can just have your baby and bring them up and try to teach them how to navigate with this too. Don't go ahead to bring up a child because you want to have, oh my god, blue eyes and red nose and all of that, and after everything you're still showing your kind of person to that child, you know, and at the end of the day you're making that child so miserable. Anyway, lovelies, when I just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video, and please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We just here for educational and informative purposes. So if you've not subscribed to this channel up to this extent, do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.
Sure. Thank you so much, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.